Since since this has already sort of been covered, I'll start with a question. All right. And then we can move on from there. So, before giving the break thingy here, can anyone tell me what the answer to this is going to be?
Will it be 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10?
Okay. Anyone else?
Uh, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oh, wait. I think 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. Any more answers?
6, 7, 8, 9.
Okay. I guess nobody else. Does anyone else want to try? Okay, so let's see. And nobody's correct. So this was a tricky question. Java, the ones who've learned Java might have known this. So this is I++, right? So what I++ does is, so there are two types of increment operators, right? Post increment and pre-increment. So this one is post. So first, it checks if the current value of I is equal to 10, and then it increments the value of I. Okay, so right now, the value of I is 5. It checks if 5 is equal to 10. It's not, so it executes this. But before executing this, the value of I will be incremented by 1. So while checking, it's 5. But after the checking is done, the value of I is 6. So by the time it reaches this statement, the value of I is now 6. So it will start from 6. Is this part clear, Adrika? You said 5, right? Adrika?
It is fine.
Okay, so this part should be clear. And I guess Avrodhi and even Anjushnu, you all said till 9 and did not include the 10.
Post incremental ব্যাপারটা
So when it checks, right, it does not increment. It increments after it checks the condition. So when the value of I is 9, it's 10, it checks if it's not equal to 10. When the value of I is 9, it checks if 9 is equal to 10. It's not, so it enters the loop, executes the statement. But before executing the statement, the value of, so this part is clear, I guess. Similarly, this was post increment, right? What if I do this? What should be the output now? Yes, quick.
9, 8, 7, 6, 5.
No, it's not reverse. I've just made it pre-increment instead of post-increment. What did I tell you? Post-increment increments the variable after it checks the condition. So pre-increment must do the opposite. So it should first increment and then check the condition. So what do you think the output is going to be, everyone?
So will it start now from 5?
Okay. Do others have an answer?
Would it be the same?
আমার মনে হচ্ছে
Huh? Repeat.
আমার মনে হচ্ছে 6789 ever.
Okay.
6, 7, 8, 9.
Journey ever here.
Yes. 6789 should be the answer. Yes. Acha, Adrika, I'll explain this to you. All right. So first, what is the value of I? It's 5, right? When
Five.
it enters this while loop, now it's pre-increment. So first, the value of I is increased by 1. So the value of I is now 6. And then it checks this condition. Is I equal to 10? Money not equal to 10. 6 is not equal to 10. So it executes this. All right. So it will go
Yeah.
on. So we get 6 here because the value of I is now 6, right? It has been incremented.
Yeah.
So it's now 6.
So
Huh. So
it is not equal to 10 also.
it should not, no, see, suppose like now, right now, the value of I is 9, right? So when it is 9, it enters this, there is an increment of, it's pre-increment, all right. So the value of I will be increased by 1. So the value of I will be increased from 9 to 10. Now 10 is not equal to 10. When 10 is equal to 10, so it will not print this. So 10 will not be printed. So it will only print till 9.
Okay.
Like
Understood.
when we were doing post increment like I plus plus, it was checking the condition and then incrementing this variable. But when we are using pre-increment, it first increases the value of the variable by 1 and then checks the condition. All right.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, cool. So this part is clear, I guess. Now we'll move on to the break and continue statements.
Acha. If anybody has any difficulty understanding the post and pre-increment operators, right, then don't worry because I don't understand them properly yet either. So,
Works. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's okay if you don't understand, but you can always ask us. We will explain to you as many
Yes.
times as required.
we'll try to at least.
Yes. Okay, what do you think the output of this is going to be? Yes.
Six, seven, eight.
Okay, anyone else? Come on. Okay, Priyarga has replied 678. Okay. Okay, let's see. And yes, you are correct. So you both, I guess like, okay, I'll explain it. So since while true, so this loop is like this loop will keep on running until it encounters this break statement. Okay, because the condition is true always. All right. So we have I, the value of I is 5 right now, and then it gets incremented to 6. We print 6. I is equals to 8. No. It goes on to the next iteration. I plus plus, I is now 7. It prints 7. I is not equal to 8. It goes to the next iteration. Again, I plus plus, the value of I is now 8. It prints 8. But we have I is equals to 8 is true, right? Because the value of I is 8 right now. So then it executes the break statement. Now what the break statement does is it exits this loop. All right. It exits this loop and prints the statements following this. Right now we don't have any statement, but if there would have been, it would have executed those. But it exists the loop mainly. Is this clear, the break statement?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. And we have another statement, and that is continue. Again, give this a
Infinite
try.
হয়ে যাবে।
Okay. Let's see. Does anyone have a different answer?
6 7 8 9 করতে করতে ইনফাইনাইট অবধি চলতে থাকবে তো।
Okay. Yes, you are correct. Now, can you explain this too? Why this is happening? Acha, like you did kind of explain. Like, acha, does anyone else have an explanation for this other than Aubrey?
Can I try?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
It is because the loop is continuing, so it is going to print 1, 2, 3, like from 6, 7, 8, and then till infinity, how much ever the limit is, because it is a continuous statement. So loop will continue.
Yes. So, yeah, because like yes, you're correct. So what happens is it prints 5, 6, 7. Then when it comes to 8, it again goes to the next
Nothing
iteration.
different.
এই
Yeah.
কোথা থেকে আসলো?
When the value of I is 8.
I equal to 5. Nothing different happened.
আগে তো
After
ইনক্রিমেন্ট হয়ে যাচ্ছে।
incrementing, yeah, I told. আমি ওটা বললাম তো। The first it will go to 6, 7. Then when it comes to 8, it will encounter this, and when it encounters this, it will again go to the next iteration. So this was not a very good example to explain how continue works.
এই কন্টিনিউটাই প্রিন্টের আগে দিলে বেটার হতো।
No, 1 second. Continue. Acha. Okay. Tell me the output to this one. Quick. We need to cover a lot of stuff today. Hello. Answers, please.
4 বার hello প্রিন্ট হবে।
Anyone else? No one?
Once.
Acha, Anjashnu.
सही कह रहे हो, but okay.
It is printing 4 times, but I forgot to give ended here. But yes, it is going to print it 4 times. So first, the value of I is 5. It gets incremented to 6. 6 is not equals to
হ্যালোর
8.
বদলে আই প্রিন্ট করলে 6 7 9 10 আমার যেটা মনে হচ্ছে।
Yes, you are correct. It should print that only. Yes. So I guess this part is clear. Do I need to explain this, how this works? Or can I move on to the next topic? Adrika? And the rest of you? Hello. Should I move on to the next topic? Or do you want me to explain this one? Huh? Just give a thumbs up. like if you want me to move on to the next topic. Everyone. Okay, I'll explain this. So, currently the value of I is 5. It gets incremented to 6. I is not equals to 8, so this part is ignored. And I is printed, which is 6. It moves on to the next iteration. I is now 7. 7 is again not equal to 8. It prints this. Now, next time the value of I is 8. So since I is 8, it will it will execute the continue statement. Now what continue does is, it goes on to the next iteration and ignores the statements following the continue statement. So it will ignore everything that is after continue and move on to the next iteration. So this part will not be executed. So now the value of I is 9. Again, 9 is printed. And then 9 is not equal to 10, so it will again enter the loop. I plus plus, so value of I is 10, and you get 10. So it just does not print 8, because when the value of I is 8, we have the continue statement. And what the continue statement does is, it moves on to the next iteration and ignores everything that comes after the continue statement. All right? Okay, we have 3 people in the waiting room. Okay, so this part is clear, and we will now move on to switch case statement. Switch is basically a different way of writing if else. So imagine there's a castle, all right, and then like you're given a key, and you have to find out which door you can open with that key, like which lock you can open with that key. All right, you have several doors. Switch works in the exact same way. So suppose I say the value of key is 5, and then you have a switch. So switch is like, you are the switch, all right. So you are given a key, and there are locks, okay. So there's a lock 1, there's a lock 2. Acha, I'm not going till 5. I'm sorry, 1 second. Yeah.
এখানে তো আবার ফল থ্রু এর ঝামেলাটাও থাকে এই সুইচ কেসে। ফল থ্রু ব্রেক স্টেটমেন্টটা না দিলে।
I'm coming to that. Wait, don't say anything right now. Sorry. Okay. So what happens here is, these are the locks, these cases, these are the locks, and you have a key. So what it does every time is, it enters, it goes to a case, it checks if the lock matches with the key. If it does, then it executes the statement following this case. All right, so the output of this should be lock 2, because the key is 2, the lock is 2, the key matches with the lock, so so these 2 statements are executed. Is this part clear? I guess it is because this is pretty simple. Now, suppose I don't have this here. And the key is 1 right now. What do you think the output is going to be now? Come on, quick.
Lock 1.
Huh?
Yes, 1.
Lock, you're saying lock 1. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. It's okay
Lock
if you
1, lock 2, wrong key.
Okay. All right. Any more answers? It's okay if you give wrong answers to this one because I haven't taught you this yet. So I don't expect you to give me the right answer. Just try it. All right. Any more answers? Andishna?
Lock 1.
Okay. Let's see. So Avradip was right. It is lock 1, lock 2, and wrong key. Why this happens is the proper syntax for switch expressions is after each case ends, you need to give a break statement.
Agree.
Huh? Yes.
No.
If you don't do this, there'll be a cascading problem. So the control will execute all of the cases following this case, right? Like what happens is
Until it encounters a break statement.
yes, exactly. And like once suppose we have
If we have int key as 2, then it
another
won't execute 1 but continue.
yes, exactly. So when it gets 2, when the key is 2, it will print this part, not this one. So once you open a lock and if you don't encounter a break, you will have everything printed to you, everything that follows the opened lock. All right, so right now the opened lock is case 2. So after this, all of the cases that are there, everything will get executed. Now this is wrong syntax. This is an error. I'm explaining the error to you. You should always use break statement and not encounter such gapla. All right.
কিন্তু
Now what
যদি
did
কেস 1 এ ব্রেক না থাকে আর কেস 1 টাই আসল লক থাকে আর কেস 2 তে ব্রেক দেওয়া থাকে তাহলে শুধু কেস 1 আর কেস 2 টা প্রিন্ট হবে তারপরে এগুলো প্রিন্ট হবে না
it keeps on printing until it encounters a break. So once it comes across a break statement, it like exit the whole switch expression.
ফল থ্রো এরও তো কি একটা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন ছিল তাই না
What default?
প্রোগ্রামে ফল থ্রু এই ব্রেক স্টেটমেন্ট না থাকলে যে পরের গুলো যে প্রিন্ট হতে থাকে সেটাই তো ফল থ্রু
it is an error. Like it's recommended to always use break. Fall through is something that happens when you don't use break.
কিন্তু ওটারও তো কিছু একটা অ্যাপ্লিকেশন ছিল কোন একটা প্রোগ্রামে আমি ওটা ইউজ করেছিলাম মনে আছে
I mean, you don't need to because suppose you want to execute, if you do want to execute everything after all of the cases following this one, you could just write the statements there. But anyway, like we're not going into that. You should always use break, and that's the main point. And default is the function of default is similar to else. If none of the cases are true, then it executes the default statement. So if the key is 5, so no lock matches the key, right? It will print wrong key. The switch case can be a little bit complicated. So do you all have any questions? Acha, 3 I have procedure. Okay. Any questions?
No questions.
Okay. So I will move on to the next topic.
Also, I would like to recommend you as not to use switch case like way too often, because switch case without the things that I mentioned, like about putting the break and the fall through thing which happens. So basically that makes to read the switch case thing very hard. Like when you're reading your code later on, maybe it makes it very hard to interpret. So it's way better to use if else wherever like possible, like, to avoid
Yes,
switches.
because most things it can be completed with it.
Yes, you will do the problem, then you will forget one break, then entire problem gets ulta pulta output then.
Yes,
But
exactly.
কিন্তু ক্যারেক্টার যখন থাকবে, ক্যারেক্টারের থ্রু দিয়ে যখন কোনো কেস স্টাডি করতে হবে, তখন সুইচ কেসটাই বেটার হয় কম্পেয়ার্ড টু ইফ এলস।
Like when you're given a choice, depending on the choice, you have to print something like 1, 2, 3, 4 or characters. Then it's
ইন্টিজার
okay
চয়েস
to.
হলে ইফ এলস ঠিক আছে, কিন্তু ক্যারেক্টার চয়েস হলে মানে এ বি
Nah.
সি ডি
It's
তখন
up to
No,
the
you can use if for character
You
too,
can-
but like it's easier
I
to
know
use
it
switch
can be
case
used,
for
but the
integers and
syntax here
characters.
is better.
So
see.
that
এটা
the
সিনট্যাক্সটা
integers
তখন
will know
মনে
better.
রাখতে সহজ হয়।
See. Switch case or if else is more of an individual choice.
Huh.
I recommend using if else over switch case.
Yes,
Now,
end of
up to you,
discussion.
whatever. Do with that information what you will.
Yes, we are supposed to teach you everything. So yeah,
Yes.
you can choose whatever you want. So the next topic is, this is done. This is a basic flowchart. All right. The expression, you have the switch expression, and these are the cases. If this case is, if it matches the case, yes, else it will go to the next case. This you can understand, right? It's the basic. It's just a flowchart showing the same thing. Next is functions. So in functions, you have two kinds of functions: user-defined functions and the inbuilt library functions. So, say I write a function here. Sorry. Print now. Okay. So what I'm doing here is I'm calling a function here, display function. And this is the function. All right. The way to declare the way to define a function is you give the return type first. This is a return type for this particular function, void. I'm not returning anything, right? Like if I would have given this a return type of string, and say I do return a okay. Huh. So now the return type is string. Previously it was void. Void means you don't return anything. And string means you're returning a string. It could be int, it could be character, it could be any data type. All right. So here you have the data type of it, the return type, the value you're returning. So the data type of that is written here. Okay. And then you have the function name. You can give it any name you want. All right. It's not fixed. So, and this is the parameter that you're passing here. So you have a string x, which contains the string hello. You are printing, you're first calling this function, all right. The way to call a function is by its function name, and then you give parentheses and the parameter. So you're passing a parameter x. This is x. This parameter, this is the this parameter is this one. So when you're writing the parameter in the function, right, you have to first give the data type and then any name that you want, and then the value of this is getting passed to this one, to a, and then you're returning a, and the value that you're getting from this return statement, you're printing it here. So the print is getting a bit complicated. See, I'm storing it in a variable b. Okay, and then I'm printing b. It should work the same way. Yes. So you're calling a function and the function is returning a value to you. This value is getting stored in the variable b, and then you're printing b. So what function, you could have done the same thing here too, right, in the main function. But why are we using a different function for this operation? Like, what is the use of functions? Why do you think we would use a function when the same could be achieved without one? Any answers? Okay. We have one answer from Arundo. The rest of you, just say anything that comes to your mind.
এটা
Okay.
সিম্পল জিনিস ছিল, কিন্তু যখন কোনো কমপ্লিকেটেড জিনিস থাকবে তখন ফাংশন না ডিভাইড করে নিলে সেটা ইজি টু প্রোগ্রাম হবে।
Okay. Anything else? Okay, I'll give you two answers. Say you have to call this function, like display something multiple times, okay, or perform any particular operation multiple times. You're not going to write the code multiple times, right? So what function gives you is, it gives you a reusable piece of code, so you can just use it every time you by just calling it in the main function. You don't have to write the entire operation again. You can just call the statement whenever you want it. So function gives you a reusable piece of code to use in your program. So it makes things easier for you, less complicated, and also improves the readability of the code. Like, you don't get repeated codes every time. You can just have one line. It makes the code shorter too. Okay. Now in C++,
Is it possible to call a different function from any other function apart from the main function?
yes. I mean, yes, I think you can. Right, Archit? Huh. Like in Java, you have to mention static and non-static. But in C++, I think you can.
You can, yes.
Okay.
You
Depends
can,
on
but it's not necessary, I think.
Nothing is
depends on your
necessary.
program.
Huh.
Nothing. Yeah. Another thing is there is something called order of function loading, right?
Exactly. I was about to come to that.
Acha, okay, fine then.
Uh-huh.
Another thing, like, to better understand functions, it's like, imagine you need a fire, okay? like use fire for cooking and all. Pretty common thing, right? Fire. So now imagine every time you need a fire, if you like sat down with like sticks or something or like rocks and then started rubbing them together to make fire, that would be very inefficient and quite annoying. So instead, what you do is you make a lighter or something, right? And then you can just reuse that right lighter whenever you need a fire. So you're simplifying the process a lot so that you can reuse it again and again. So this might be a very simple thing, just printing a variable, but say it's something way more complex, like, building a fire maybe. So, you can just
Yes,
do it again and again in the function. Yep.
exactly. Now in in C++, there is this thing you have to write all the functions before your main function. Okay, whatever functions you're calling in the main function, all the functions have to be before the main function. Okay, now if you want to write it after the main function, then what you have to do is you have to write the function prototype here. Like this is the function prototype. Okay, the return type, function name, and the parameters. Yes, it still works. So it's preferable that, like, it's recommended that you define these functions before the main function. But if you want to do it after, you have to just write this prototype in the beginning. All right. Is this part clear? Then I'll move on to a question.
Could you show me how you can call the function back once again?
Okay. So the way to call a function in general is like you give the function name, then parenthesis, and then if there's a parameter, see, we are taking a parameter here, but we might not take a parameter. It's not necessary. So depending on the function that you're calling, you give a parameter here. I'm passing the parameter x. So this is the x string. I'm passing it here. So this is the way you call a function. Okay. Now this particular function, it's returning a value. So the value that it's returning, I'm storing it in another variable b. Okay. Now if this function had a return type of void and it's not taking, say it's not taking any parameters, just returning hello, then you wouldn't have to do this thing. Sorry, not returning, cout.
Okay.
So then you could have just done display and no parameters here because you don't need a parameter. Okay.
So automatically it will call the function.
Yes, this is calling the function. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, sorry. I forgot to do the extraction of this.
ডিসপ্লে স্ট্রিং এ উপরে লাইন আছে
Prototype.
Acha, acha. Ari, I did not change this. Okay. Yes, sorry. Yes. This is why you don't define functions after, because you have to change at both the places and you might forget sometimes. Okay. So yeah, it's doing the same thing. You don't have parameters in this particular function. Is it clear now, Adrika?
It is clear now.
Okay. Acha, also. Can someone explain, this is a function too, right? This is the main function. Can someone explain the structure of this to me? Like, what is this? What is this? Like just labeling the parts. No, I don't know. Okay. Just give it a try. Just label the parts. Like, what is this? First, tell me what is this?
Return type,
Yes. And this?
function name,
Yeah. And these are the code that is to be
variable, or
executed.
the
Yes.
code.
Yes. And you're not taking any parameters here. So this part should be clear. Functions. Any
The
questions? Any
function
doubt?
name and the parameters together prototype, I guess.
Yes. The return
Right?
type, function name, and the parameters. Function prototype. Okay. So no doubts here.
Acha. Does
Huh.
anybody notice anything peculiar with the main function? Like anything weird or different from other functions? Anyone?
In function is returning a string into string, but it is
String x equal to hello এই লাইনটা বেকার কোনো মানে দাঁড়ায় না ওটা
No, not that.
সেটা তো I can just delete what is.
Anjashnu, you're saying something? Continue.
in main দেওয়া আছে কিন্তু কোনো ইন্টিজার রিটার্ন করছে না।
Yes.
Exactly. Huh.
So basically in C++ is this thing that in newer versions of C++, I don't really remember from which version, but you'll be using C++ 14. So in C++ 14, there's this thing that the main function, it is traditionally supposed to return either a 0 or a non-zero value. Okay, and that basically indicates if your program was like the running of your program was a success or like a failure. So usually you're supposed to return 0 if it was a success, and you're supposed to return a
And
non-zero value.
execute should be 1 if it was
1.
a failure.
Yes. So in newer versions, basically what the compiler does is in your main function, if you don't return any value, it basically assumes that you're returning 0 and like writes that for you on its own. You don't need to mention that explicitly again. So yes, cool thing to notice.
Okay. So yes, that was a good thing, important thing. Acha. Any more questions in this part? No one? I'll move on then. Okay. Those were user-defined functions, and this is the function prototype. Yes, I have taught you this. Should be before the function call, the function declaration. However, if you want to define a function after the function call, you need to use the function. Yeah. So this is what I told you, right? You have to declare before calling the function. Anyway. So library functions. In C++, you have some functions, built-in functions. You don't have to write them on your own. They've already been provided to you. You just need to call them and use them. All right. So these are the library functions. And like these are some examples. Cin, cout that you use for input and output are library functions. And these are some math functions. Okay. Yes, these are some math functions. Now, to be able to use these library functions, acha, in the beginning, when I didn't change anything, you had this thing. By default, you have this in JDoodle, right? Hashtag include IO stream. Do you know what this is? So, okay, I'm telling you. Huh?
Input output. It helps to compile the input output of the program, I think.
Yes. So this is a header file, and the header files. So there are these library functions that are defined in the header files. So the IO stream header file has functions like cin, cout, and string2, I think. Now, to be able to use the library functions, we need to declare a header file, include a header file. Similarly, if you want to use the math functions like sqrt, you need to do cmath. So now you can
Acha, IOStream string is not there.
huh?
IOStream string name. String is alada string header file.
Acha, okay, yeah, maybe like I said, I wasn't sure about that.
Just let's check waiting room.
Okay, acha. So we need to include the header files to be able to use the library functions for C. So CMath has some math functions like sqrt. So it gives you the square root of a number. Okay, so you get 5. Now, what is this include thing? Now, this is a bit theoretical, and I get it if you don't, understand this right now. I'll just tell you this. It's okay. It's good if you understand. It's absolutely fine if you don't. You won't need it for coding. Okay. So, the header files contain, as I told you, the header file contains the definitions of functions and data types. And these header files need to be imported into any C++ program using a preprocessor directive, which is this include. This is a preprocessor directive. Very difficult term to remember. You don't need to. So what the preprocessor directive does is it tells the compiler to process these files before compilation, to process these header files. All right. So this is the preprocessor directive, and this is the header file. So you need to do this for all the library functions. You have different header files. Now, remember I told you on the first day that there is this particular header file that you could include at the beginning of your program, and you won't need, and it includes all the library functions for you, the standard library functions. Can anyone tell me what that header file is?
It's stdc++.h.
Yes, exactly. So in CP, in competitive programming, you'll need a lot of math functions and algorithms and other library functions, and it just does not make sense to include header files for each, right? And then you can just do this. So this includes all the standard library functions for you.
.h compilation error hobe.
Yes, sorry. So yes, this part is clear, and this is a bit theoretical, I know, and it's okay if you don't understand this. You won't need it. This is just for clearing your conception. Is this all right?
And you feel like need like a way to remember what like libraries are and what it does, right? It's like imagine it like a file like bits slash standard c++.h and the iostream.h thingy. They're like actual physical libraries with tons of books inside them. But like these books are about a certain topic or a certain function. Okay. So now imagine you go to a library which is for like class 2 maths or something like that. Okay, and so there you'll probably find books on addition, subtraction, division, multiplication, all those. So basically when you include an entire library, what it does is it educates the compiler on how to do those things. Okay, those individual things. So when you include cmath.h, it basically educates the compiler on how to do all those functions, like find out square root, find out the absolute value, find out the power, like something to the power something, things like that. Okay, so whenever you import a library is a set of books or a set of pre-processed, like pre-written functions, And like imagine these books were written by some other author. Okay, so the people who actually wrote C++, they were kind enough to actually write down these complex algorithms and all for you. So you don't have to write them on your own. So what you're doing is basically reusing all that information again in your program without, doing it yourself over and over again.
Yes. So yes, I guess that part is clear. Avriti, now that is what Atten said, right? In reply to Avriti, you need to import the libraries. It does not work like Java. You can't use math.sqrt. Okay, so these are some okay. Adrika. So these are some common library functions which I already told you about. These are these are defined in the header file IO. Can you all tell me what a string is? We've been using this term so many times now. What do you think a string is?
A data type storing alphabets.
Only alphabets, okay? Any other answers?
Not actually alphabets, it can store anything.
Okay. Would anyone else like to give it a try?
Could you repeat the question?
What do you think a string is?
String basically means a kind of like not an integer, but rather the alphabets or any other variable holder.
Can I just do a wild guess? I think it's like a set of ASCII characters stored in a place which has some kind of serial number which you access through the program. Like it's a very wild guess.
Okay. All right.
It's just like a string literal.
Technical answer.
We don't have any numbers. Instead, we have the variables.
Acha. Variables. I think. Acha,
variables are alphabets.
Variable. No. Variable. Wait. I'll explain to you what a variable is first.
Exactly works how like a variable works. It's a little different. Like the distinction is very good in Java, but in C++, I don't
It's
know.
like string. It is storing something. That is string x equals to maybe 1. So x is storing 1. So basically x is over here the string and 1 is an integer.
1. So x is a string.
It stores the 1 as a alphabet only, not actually alphabet. It stores it in double quotes, not as an integer.
I think the
not as a
term
number.
Everybody is looking for is character. String is a collection of characters. It could be digits, it could be alphabets, it could be symbols, whatever. Okay. So like it could be, say, string str is equals to, and yes, you need to enclose the strings in double quotes. So it could be 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 5, hello, plus. So this is a string. It has digits, alphabets, and symbols, right? Is it clear now?
Yeah. And it is enclosed in double quotes, right?
Yeah. Okay. So, it is a collection of characters. Now in C++, we use 2 types of strings. Strings are objects of string class and C-style strings. Now C-style strings is basically an array of characters. We will not be covering C-style. We'll not be covering C-style strings because you won't be using it at all. Like, I don't know if anybody uses it right now, and you definitely won't need it for competitive programming. You'll always be using this string object of string class. So I'm going to teach you that. All right. And
এমনি একটু বলে দেখ।
it is, so you need to know arrays to be able to understand C style strings. But what C style string is, it is an array of characters. So like the way you define an array normally is like this, right? The size of the array here, I guess. Or you don't need to, like
1D array বুঝে যাবো, 2D array নিয়ে ঝামেলা।
we don't use arrays in C++ generally in competitive programming, because like you cannot add or remove values or change the array. We use vectors, which I will be teaching in the next session. Vectors are dynamic arrays. But since you asked about C style strings, I'll just give a basic idea of what an array is, like what a character. So this is the way you declare an integer array, like a series of contiguous memory locations containing integers. All right. Now, what a C style string is, it stores characters. I guess this is how you write it. So like in every location, you get like one character is stored in each location of the array. Like, is this clear? I have not taught you arrays. So, but since Avruti passed, did you understand Avruti? It is not for the rest of y'all.
To some extent.
We are storing integers in the array, right? In the first one. And in the second one, we are
Yes.
storing characters. So C style array is an array of a C style string is an array of characters.
Okay.
We don't need this at all. Do not torture yourself with these things.
With like C style strings, there comes something called pointers, and pointers is something is a very
Point is very bad. Take it from me.
pointers. Yes.
Yeah.
Very bad.
In fact, the way I declared the character array, I'm not even sure if that is correct, because I don't use C style arrays. You might have had to use characters there, I'm not sure. Anyway, we'll be covering string objects. Now, in the first day, I think Adrika had asked me how to take a string as input. And I had told you that I would be covering it in later sessions. So I will be going over that again.
It was
Now,
me.
Acha, you, okay, my bad, sorry. So do you all remember how to take a string as input?
Get line.
Yes. So the syntax is something like this. This is a pretty interesting thing. Okay. So this is what it does, right? It takes the entire sentence as input, get line. All right. Now, what do you think the output to this is going to be? It's equals to
Actually, a doubt. You just wrote over this S get line CIN, then S C out in end one end L. So you wrote like this, and then you executed. The answer came, there is a cat. So how is it possible?
Okay, let me return to the previous. Acha. See, So the way you use this getLine thingy is first there are two parameters that you take. First is the input stream, which is sin, and the second is the variable in which you're storing the input. All right, so the variable is s, string s. We've declared it, but we have not initialized s yet. So when you're taking this as input, the value of this entire sentence, like this entire sentence, is getting stored in the s variable.
Okay. So then STD inputs you are given there is a cat. So as a result, the result came over here is there's a cat.
Yes, this is printing the value of s, which is this is a cat. It is a string.
Okay.
Okay. Acha, yes. What do you think the output of this is going to be? Once, let me give an input here. Huh. What do you think the output of this is going to be?
Don't you think input টা উল্টো করেছিস তুই? আচ্ছা না 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 ঠিক আছে 5 যেটা ইনপুট আছে এক্স্যাক্টলি সেটা যেটা এন্ট্রি আছে সেটাই 5 তার নিচের লাইনে দিস ইজ আ ক্যাট।
Okay, anybody else?
Will it be this is the cat and then 5?
Okay. And anybody else? Acha, okay. This others can also answer, like the CC members, if they're still present. Anyway, acha, you can answer in chat. Not Archishman.
Arun, answer.
Arun or
ও
Swapnil.
ভাই এক্ষুনি ফিজিক্স করছিলাম, দাঁড়া দেখতে হবে। 5 this is, wait, what is the input? 5 space this is a cat, এটা input.
Yes.
5 then 5 this is a cat.
Okay. Let's see. This was done in previous session. Now, why is it only 5? Acha, I'll explain. So here in the input, what getLine does is, by default, it takes the new line escape character as a delimiting character, like the terminating character. Okay. So once it reaches a new line character, it stops reading input. Okay. Now here, this is basically this, like there is a new line character here. That is why you have this in the next line, right? So there is a new line character here. Now what the getLine, so I told you that the getLine reads input as long as it does not reach this new line character. So first, this 5 is getting extracted into variable n, and then it gets to this character and it stops reading the input. So this part does not get stored into s. Did you understand this? It's terminating character part. New line is the default terminating character.
আচ্ছা, I thought উল্টো, ভাবলাম এন্ডটা
আচ্ছা।
লাস্টে যাবে।
The new line character thingy, right? So suppose I will explain to you this, since you might not be.
তো এটার এই কোডটাকে সেম রেখে ইনপুটের অর্ডারটা চেঞ্জ করি কোন
I am coming to that, one second. Just let me explain what new line character is first, because I haven't done it before. So you have escape characters in C++ and in every programming language, I guess. Suppose you want to print a string, right? You want to print this is a cat, and then in the next line you want to print this is a dog. How are you going to do that in this way? Not like cout by using cout 2 times, but just this way. You can like do this. So this \n is an escape character. You have other escape characters too, like T, which is a new tab. And then, yeah, these are the main two escape characters that I can remember right now. But anyway, new line is what we need to focus right now. So this prints this on a new line. Okay. Acha, semicolon. Huh. So you get this is a cat, and the next line you get this is a dog. So this is what the new line escape character does. It prints it in the new. It takes the statement following it to the new line, to a new line. Is this one clear? Then I'll again return to this thing. Just write in the chat, yes or no. Huh? Is it clear?
It is clear.
Okay, good. So this, now that you know what a new line character is. Yes, so what I was saying, for get line, this new line character is the terminating character. Okay, once it encounters this, it stops reading input. All right. Now, suppose you don't want this to happen. Now, there are two ways to go about this. I will come, now first I'll show you the sin ignore one. Okay. What you can do is, you do sin dot ignore here. And what sin dot ignore does is, after this n has been extracted, this character, the function of sin ignore, not just this new line character, any character that it encounters, it ignores. Okay. So first the n is extracted in, the 5 is extracted into n, and then we get sin dot ignore. So this will ignore this new line character, and then the get line will start reading input from here. All right. So this character gets ignored. We could have had some other character too here, say a. So if I execute this, see, you'll get 5 first, which is the integer, and then the string s. This is a cat. This a has been ignored. Same way, if you're like doing it in a different lines, there's a new line character here, right? So it will ignore the new line character now, and it will give the correct output. Like this is what you were predicting at first, right? When we didn't have this sin dot ignore. So in order to avoid this new line character issue, you can use just include sin dot ignore. It will ignore a character. Okay, this is a bit difficult to understand. So I will explain it again if you have any issues. Hello, is it clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, Acha, no, not like this. What do you think the one second. What do you think the output of this is going to be?
Will it be 25? This is cat. Like 25, next line, this cat.
Okay, anybody else?
25. Just
Okay,
25.
and anyone else would like to give it a try?
Or will it be 25 is a cat? Maybe.
Acha, let's see. So, see, previously it was 5 and I told you what, just see sin.ignore, it ignores a character, right? So first, it gets 25. This is an integer. So it extracts 25 and stores it in n. All right. So now the value of n is 25. Then we get this statement, sin.ignore. So the next character is t, right? And we have sin.ignore, so it will ignore t. Then we again use get line. So the get line will read from h. It will start reading input from h. So that is why you get his is a cat. You don't get t because t is ignored. You're using sin.ignore, right? Did you get this? Because like I'm not sure if you're understanding this. Sin.ignore ignores a character. Whatever character it is, like it could be space. If it's a space and I execute this, you'll get 25. This is a cat. See. Now space is the next character. So whatever character is here will get ignored. Do you have
Understood.
any do you have any doubts in this? Because I expected to have doubts here. Yes. So if suppose I give some other number here, right? It will the value of n will be 256. Yes. So as long as it gets an integer, it will extract it and store it in n. And as soon as it encounters a character other than integer, like it will ignore. Okay. Acha. Now
How to ignore
what-
multiples? How to input multiple strings in multiple variables?
yes, I'm coming to that. 1 second.
my doubt is what if we give a to this is a cat, then what will happen?
What did you say?
What if we give
A,
a, then 2, and then this is a cat? Then
acha, this one.
yeah.
See, first it will try to extract an integer, right? and you're not getting an integer here. So that's why it's like giving you a garbage value. Like you need to have an integer first, because you need first we are taking an integer as input. Say you had
Okay.
5 here, then this issue would not have occurred. You will get 5 and then 2, this is a cat. Yes.
Okay.
Now 1 second, just give me a minute. So this was send.ignore. Now there is another thing that you could do, and that is, see, I told you that by default, getLine uses this new line character as a terminating character, right? But say you don't want the new line character to be the terminating character. You want something else. Say you have this is a cat, and then you have this is a dog, or like you want a character here, and then you want dog. All right. Say you want this $sign here to be the terminating character. Okay, like you want getLine to read this entire thing and stop here. You don't want new line to be the terminating character. So what you do here is, 1 second. There is another parameter that you take, and that is the character, the terminating character, the delimiting character to be specific. So yeah, so this is the input stream, this is the variable where you're storing the input, and this is the terminating character. Now if you print this, you're getting this is a cat, and then this is it's not printing dog here. Understood? So now you are taking multiple lines as input, right? Because the new line character is no longer the terminating character. It is a terminating character by default, but if you mention a terminating character here, then that will be the character after which it will stop taking a reading input. Okay. Is this clear?
Is this clear?
Yes, this is very interesting. Like, okay, there is another interesting thing that you can do with this, and I have to be quick right now because it's already pretty late. So there is this thing, say in Python, right? And people who've experience with Python, you split strings, right? You can do something similar here with getLine. So you write getLine, send and string. Say you want to split the strings, like you want this to be a string and this to be a string, like you want to split the strings based on the spaces. Okay. So say you want the sorry, it's not str, it's s. See, you're getting so it's splitting this entire thing based on the spaces. So first it reads this as input, and then it prints it. Again, it takes is as input and prints it. Okay. So it keeps on doing this until like as long as it can based on the spaces. So it's splitting the strings. Is this clear? Like it's taking out each word and printing it.
Why wasn't it printing dog when the dollar was there?
I think it needs to start with an alphabet or something.
Why?
This. So
Why is it so? Because a string can store characters as well.
It can, but I think in acha, 1 second. I think in this particular case for getLine, you cannot start with. Let's try one. That is printing plus. I think there's this particular issue with $sign. I have to read up on it. I'm not sure. Because everything else is getting printed. Yeah.
Does it have any connection because with the previous code where
No,
you use the dollar as the terminating character?
it should not, because I have like 1 second. Acha, can you see my screen by the way right now?
Yes.
Yes.
Why?
আচ্ছা ওটাতে ইনপুটটাতে
হ্যাঁ
লেখাবার কোনটা
কপি করে নিলে হতো না আগে?
forgot. Sin is, I think, yes, like see out is I think it had something to do with the last code. No, there is something wrong with the $sign.
try putting like $Z or something, like instead, like remove dog and put Z.
Try at the rate.
You know,
Instead of dollar, try at the rate.
It's working for every symbol other than dollars. So this is something that we need to look into, because we have never run into a similar error. And then we'll get back to you in the next class. But before that, I just cover whatever I had to. Don't worry, we will just look this up too. And so this is how you can split the strings. And yes, another thing, say you're giving 5 here, and then this is a cat, right? And you execute this. So you're getting, so the space is the terminating character for each the character you use for splitting, right? Now here you might think that 5 is a string and this is a string. It's not. Okay, this entire 5 plus this is one string, so it's getting printed akshate, okay, together. These are not different, this entire thing here. So like to demonstrate this, say I'm giving, so we are not using $sign anymore. So this will for each string in the beginning and the end, it will print at the rate. So here you see, so you don't have an at the rate here, right? You have before 5 and then again after this. So this, it is one string, okay? It's like it's getting printed at once. And then again is a, because the new line character is no longer the terminating character. It's space. If I make it, if I don't give this, what do you think will happen?
5, then this is a cat.
Yeah, and like place the at the rate symbols too.
Dollar, with dollar rubber. At the rate 5, at the rate. Next line. At the rate, this is a cat, at the rate.
Yes. Yeah, that is what you get. So this thing is very interesting, and I really hope you all understood this. Do you have any questions? Like, I will explain this part as many times as you want, because this is sort of new, regardless of whatever programming language you came from.
দুটো স্ট্রিং ইনিশিয়ালাইজ করে সেই দুটোকে একটার পর একটা ইনপুট নেয় কিভাবে? কারণ মধ্যখানে একটা আই গেস ব্যাকস্ল্যাশ এন থাকবে।
আচ্ছা, you're saying the thing is, this is working, but here you know the number of lines you have. Like, you're taking 2 strings here, right? But when you're splitting a word, you won't know the number of words you have, right? Which is
ওয়ার্ড
why
স্প্লিট ভুলে যাও, ওয়ার্ড স্প্লিট ছেড়ে দে।
which is why you're using y.
শুধু এসটা প্রিন্ট করতে, শুধু এসটা প্রিন্ট করতে।
5 is yes. So like first time, what I said is like by default, new line character is a terminating character. So it takes 5 as input, and then it encounters a new line character, it stops. Then again, it goes to the next get line. It starts from here, and yes, it takes input till here in the T one. Okay.
Got it.
Yes. So this part should be clear. Don't worry, you'll have very interesting questions of the days based on this particular topic. And any questions? I know today's session was a lot to take in. So, any doubts? Also, for the people who kind of, I know it's late, so some have left, you will get the recording. So it's clear, right? Hello.
Yes, ma'am. Clear.
Okay.
এই কোডটা আমার রান করছে না আমার এখানে।
Why?
সেটাই তো ভাবছি, দাঁড়া দেখি।
You can like send a screenshot in the Discord server.
ল্যাপটপে স্ক্রিনশট তুলতে আমার 12টা বেজে যায়।
Acha, by the way, was I audible throughout the session?
Yes,
মধ্যখানে ডিসকানেক্ট হয়ে গেলে সেটা
except for the disconnection. Yes.
Acha,
Recording बंद कर दो।
yes, sorry. So,